Hello everybody and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we have eliminated a lot of world hexes from our search here, and we're gonna see if that's good enough to eliminate just the world hexes, or if we need to eliminate more biome hexes as well in this optimization. We'll find out. But for right now, we need to go ahead and make it so that it's actually using the world hexes that we've determined that it should. So let's go ahead and do something like if world hexes to consider dot count is not equal to 0. So if there's any world hexes in there, then we should go ahead and do something along the lines of this. If world hexes to consider dot contains, and that's why we're using a hash set here. If world hexes to consider dot contains manager, or rather hex manager dot get world hex by index, and this will be building dot location dot world hex. So if it's in that list, if we are considering it, then we're fine. However, if it doesn't contain it, then we can simply continue, which is going to go to the next in the loop. And it's just not going to consider that as a potential in the closed list or the open list. Excellent. So the question is, how much is that going to actually speed things up and or break things? Let's let this compile up. Eventually it'll get there. There we go. Excellent. So let's see how much that actually speeds things up. It should speed it up a fair amount, assuming that the pathfinding works. But it should work. Because biome hex neighbors are going to be awkward to add, shall we say? But even so, this is going to substantially lower the number of hexes it has to look at. Like, extremely substantially. So let's go ahead and grab something in a bit of a landmass. We'll go right here. We'll go ahead and go here. Purchase a bit of land right here. And we'll go ahead and demolish it. Oh my. Not a player-owned hex. Yeah, it is. There you go. Create route, grab that, and we are going all the way over here. Okay, edit route, and that was at 310. I mean, this is still unacceptably slow already at this point, but look at how much faster that was. That was like 5 seconds. That was so much faster. And that's an incredibly long route. That's almost acceptably fast. Almost. So we come on in here, and you can see it's following these routes nicely. We've still got some issues with the line renderer, but that's fine for now. We can always fix that later on. But yeah, that's definitely way, way, way faster. And with that being so much faster, I think that we should probably consider doing the same with biome hexes. Now, how do we go about doing biome hex adjacencies? Well, that's the question, isn't it? Because, I mean, that would speed us up potentially by a factor of... well, I don't even know how much, but just the world hexes sped us up tremendously. We would see less from the biome hexes, I think. But the question is, how would we go about doing this? So we pathfind in world hexes there. We could then do like a list of int3. I mean, it's going to be going from world hex to world hex. Maybe we could detect where the entry and exit points are, but we'd have to pathfind it anyway to do that. Well, we could detect where the entry point would be potentially. Well, regardless, this is way, way faster now. There's no doubt about that. So, how can we go about making this even quicker? Well, like I said, we could make it... We could do the same thing in biome hexes. Let's go into our hex store. Where is that? Where we actually store our data. I think I closed that a couple sessions ago and never reopened it. We're gonna have to wait for this to compile. Come on. There you go. Okay, where is our hex store? There it is. And inside of here, we will check. We've got our list of int3 of neighbors. Okay. Because the question is, we can add in neighbors easy enough here and store it on this level, but the question then is, how would we know what is connected to what? We'd need to set up an adjacency system similar to the one in the building hex, where we'd need to add in if it's adjacent, like what it's adjacent to. I mean, we could do like a public list of int3, and this would then be biome neighbors equals new list of int3. And then when we populate this in the world hex, like when we populate the other neighbors, the building neighbors, we could do, let's see, .neighbors.add, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, this would just be within the same hex, correct? I believe so. And then we would toss this, we would do it here, essentially. Or after this, like here, when the neighbors are added. Potentially. When the neighbors are already added, we'd iterate through again. Or just every time we do a neighbors.add, we could do something like biome hexes, or we need an if statement here. If biome hexes I dot neighbors, or rather dot biome neighbors dot contains, and then we would want to do, this is what, an int3? It is. We'd want to compare this only with the world hex and the biome hex. So it would need to be new int3, new building dot location dot world hex, new building dot location dot biome hex, and then like -1. That would need to be the biome location. So let's go ahead and grab that out of there, and we'll call this int3 biome location equals that. And then if that is not within the list, biome location, biome hexes i.biome neighbors.add biome location. And then we'd want to do the same thing when we added it in down here. Now we've got our int3 neighbor. I think we can do this only once here. So we would put this in here. And we'd use neighbor.worldHex, neighbor.biomehex. Except that neighbor isn't actually set here. So we do need to do this in each of these switch statements, unfortunately. Like that. Now we don't need to declare the int3 biome location every time here. Okay, there we go. And then down here, we're going to be using this. So let's go ahead and say building off tile building equals this. We'll go ahead and drag that to right there. Off tile building. That's an int3. Okay, so we'll just int3 off tile building. And then we add that in. Expecting a semicolon, of course it is. And then we'll just pass in ours here. And we will do off tile building. But let's go ahead and set off tile building dot building hex after we put it in to -1. We're not using it again, so that should be fine. And that should get us some biome hex neighbors. Theoretically. In the form of an int3. And then in our pathfinding, we can go ahead and do public static float get distance int3 from int3 to. And then if from equal, I mean this int3 isn't really a nullable type. So vector3 from location equals, this will need to be a manager. Okay, for the int3 we'll need to pass in a hex manager. And then that would be manager.get biome hex position from. Okay, if that's -1, it's not going to matter for biome hex position. That's fine. So vector3 to location equals manager.get biome hex position to. And then we would just return this. Excellent. And then the same thing here. I mean, we don't really have an FGH, which we would need. So let's open up our hex store. Okay, let's yeah, this should be fine. Public float FGH public int3 right? Yeah, int 3, pathfinding parent. I think that'll be fine. Okay, so we're almost ready to start implementing our biome hex culling in our pathfinding, which would be amazing because that's going to help a lot in terms of the speed. I mean, it went from over 5 minutes to like 5 seconds when we culled out a bunch of world hexes, so that's good. Biome hexes should speed it up further, although probably not as markedly, but we'll see. Anyway, I do need to put a cut in here. Next episode, we will finish this up. See you all then.